Thursday version of Cloud Talk Live. I am so glad that you are here with us today. Not sure why that wasn't up before, but let's move it on forward. Hey everyone, welcome to the program. My name is Jeff DeVerter. I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist for us here at Rackspace Technology, and I want to welcome you to Cloud Talk Live. I know, it's not Tuesday. I know, it's not 8:30 in the morning Central Time. It's 11:30 on a Thursday. What the heck is going on around here? Well, I'll tell you what, we got some amazing content, and I just couldn't wait till next week. So I would love for you, as we get going, even though it's a different time and a different day, we're doing all the things. So make sure you're commenting. Make sure that you tell me who you are, where you are. This is a global audience. We always have amazing folks showing up from all around the world. Although usually in the morning, we don't get a lot from the West Coast. So hopefully we get some California friends in here today, since we're being a little kinder to their schedule. The 8:30 gets a little rough when going from Central to Pacific. So if you'll introduce yourself, you'll say hi, tell me where you are. I'll make sure to comment back to you. And if you have any feedback for us, want to get back in touch with us, well, it's easy to do. You can see the link right down there on the bottom of the screen. Sorry about that. And it's just send a note over to solve@rackspace.com, and you can get a hold of me, Daniel, the producers here, Megan, Julia, all the cool kids are here, waiting for your emails for us to respond to you. All right. Well, everyone, hey, Gert is here. Gert, get back to work. You're supposed to be entertaining a customer. All right. So let's press on, folks. I want to remind you that all of this content is available over at rackspace.com/solve, as well as the audio for these on our Cloud Talk podcast stream. Latest podcast that's out there, Josh Pruitt's out there. We have a new one coming later this week. And we're talking about the latest that we have from our research. And Josh and I are unpacking a lot of that. Of course, you can go get that research yourself. It's free, like everything else around here at the Solve program, over at rackspace.com/solve. Hey, a big introduction and hello to Nardist from Afghanistan. That is amazing. We've only ever had a few folks from Afghanistan, and I'm glad you're here today. We got Julio from Mexico City. Buenos dias. And we got Ethan from San Antonio. Bangalore is here. Virginia is here. India is here. We always have so many people from India. I love that. Hey, my friend from Jolanta from Poland is here. Glad that you're here as well. All right, everybody. Today's conversation is, I'm super excited about it because I'm going to teach you the definition of a new acronym, FSO. And hey, you're going to have to wait a little bit to learn what that actually means. Maybe you can Google it. You'll see. I did. There's about 30 different definitions of FSO, but it's going to be a little bit different. Hey, we've got Columbus here today as well. India still here, and England. I'm glad that you are here from England. Well, as you know, our sponsor around these parts is a company called AppDynamics. And they're awesome. They do some incredible work. And I talk about them at the end of every program. And you know what? I decided that they needed a little bit more airtime because you needed to learn what they do and how they can actually help you. And I'm going to cut to the chase. I'm going to steal a little bit of their thunder. What if I told you that for your organization, that it was possible for you to cut your reduction in outage hours for your infrastructure and your applications by as much as 65%. Well, what about 65% reduction in the meantime to resolution and RCAs for any issues that might occur? Hey, Philly's in the house. I could use a sandwich. Or your reduction in incidents by 25%. You know, these incidents for your infrastructure very often are tied to your production systems that your financial well-being is tied to as well as an organization. And so if you can cut 25% of those down, think of the money that you're going to save. And of course, improving your performance of your applications by as much as 50%. These are the claim to fame that we get from our friends over at AppDynamics. And today I've got two folks who are going to join us. First, I'm going to bring up Keith Llorens. Now, Keith Llorens from AppDynamics, now a Cisco company, is one of their field CTOs and super smart guy. We got to share a stage together at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just a few weeks ago. And then we're going to bring Andrew Liu up. And Andrew, the brains of the operation, is going to take us through a demo, actually show you how full stack observability through their tooling is actually able to achieve all of those claims that we talked about. So with that, Daniel, why don't we go ahead and bring Keith up onto the stage? and we'll get going. Keith, welcome.
Good afternoon. How you doing there,
Hey,
Jeff?
so glad that you're here. As I mentioned, we got to share a stage together just a few weeks ago in lovely Columbus, Ohio. Had never been there before. I was so impressed with that city on an amazing stage at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool experience. That was like the first time I got to present what full stack observability was in a full blown theater screen. Remember that thing? We were like
Literally, I mean, this thing was like 40
20.
by 40. I mean, it was massive.
Yes, it was.
Hey, if you want to see it, we actually recorded that event, Keith. I don't know if you know this. We took your video and I gave a little intro of what it is and popped it up over on our YouTube channel. So, Daniel, maybe you could grab a link for that and throw it in the chat for everybody in case they want to go take a look at what that screen was or go a little bit deeper because you spent about 25, 30 minutes talking about full stack observability. We're not going to spend that much time. We'd rather show full stack observability here
Yeah.
today. But let's start with Keith. You represent this company, this product company that makes this capability. But it always wasn't so. I mean, you had a little job in a little insurance company at one point, didn't you?
So I used to work for the Allstate Insurance Company, and I was responsible for availability management. And I got to oversee our NOC, which is basically monitoring all the stacks within the Allstate Insurance Company.
Yeah.
And the neat thing of why I get excited talking about this subject was that we never had a solution that could literally go across all the stacks and correlate with what true root cause analysis was. And the
Mm.
part that we also missed was we didn't have the development teams support within our organization. So we had to depend on them separately
Oh,
versus
wow.
collectively and collaboratively.
Interesting. All right. Well, we're starting to get into the meat of the matter. Let's define the differences here because we as infrastructure people, data center operators, the IT team, we lived and died by monitoring. Why is this? Why is FSO full stack observability? How is it different from just regular monitoring? But real quick, hello from Kalid. Hello on Wish. So glad that all of you have come to be a part of the program today.
Yeah, for me, I like to say the biggest difference is when you get an alert today within an infrastructure stack monitoring perspective, it only gives you the viewpoint of your stack. It
Yeah.
does not give you the correlated view across things. So if you lose a router hub switch in the network space, that has an impact to servers and all that on the back end. You get into cloud space now, it's a whole other problem statement of what type of microservices containers you have on the back end to make sure things are running correctly. And then the one thing you never get to see is what's really going on with that application.
Right.
And can I see, do I have visibility and insights into that? And so when you talk full stack observability, we're really talking about any alert that gets generated across any stack can be correlated so that you can do what, which is most important of why infrastructure exists, is to provide a service for the end user.
Mm. Very nice. And you talk about that full stack. You can not just have that great view from endpoint to beginning point to endpoint, but also being able to then relate that to the health of the not the infrastructure but the business.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm happy you said that, right? So we're used to monitoring stacks where we limit ourselves to just our data center. Well, those end users today are sitting in coffee shops, they're
Mhm.
sitting at airports,
That's
they're
right.
sitting at home, and they're accessing an application. And as a customer, they're expecting your application to work as flawlessly as Facebook, Twitter, and those other things are. And
Yeah.
so, how do you now connect everything end to end, including the internet, the ISP providers and all that? It doesn't get easier, but you're not excused not to monitor it anymore.
That's right. Hey, we got a question in here. I wanted to see if you have an answer for this one. And that is AppDynamics related to the future of Cisco's Nexus Cloud?
The Nexus Cloud is a little bit different than when we say, as a strategic from an organization perspective, we're going after this full stack observability. Well, long term, everything is to come together where it makes sense,
Yeah.
where it is manageable, and where it is sustainable, right?
Okay.
So when we say the Nexus Cloud, you can say that, but you can go, oh wow, what about security, right? And you start getting into very broad topics. And so we'll say security from a secure app perspective within full stack, and we're talking about security within the runtime code of the application versus DDoS attacks and different security things that are going on that you have to have in addition to that. But we're all about how do you protect that end user when accessing an application to do business with your company.
Got it. All right, super. Thank you for that. We got somebody here also who says they're an incident manager for the physical virtual cloud in AWS and GCP. I would imagine AppDynamics would be a great tool set for somebody whose responsibility is literally making sure that the infrastructure is doing what it's supposed to do, and ultimately then the apps are able to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say it because I think there's a cultural shift when you hear the term
Hmm.
APM, right? So AppDynamics is out there as an APM solution, and I like to tell people that that's really only 50 to 60% of what we do now.
Wow.
The industry's changing. APM is just a foundational best practice for everything else you're trying to monitor on behalf of the
Mm.
end user. So now, like for instance, I never thought I'd see the day that infrastructure teams would use APM to get the root cause.
Yeah, pretty
Pretty,
amazing.
yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Hey, well, let's talk. I sort of brought it up, and you jumped on it, and then I got us distracted on something. But let's go back to those business KPIs, because again, you know, when in traditionally infrastructure monitoring is, are my databases performing, are the servers, is the memory doing what it's supposed to do, or is there any disk bottlenecks, is there any networking bottlenecks? We're looking at these sorts of things, and it really is in isolation, because all we're really doing at that point is what is my contract with my business unit, what is my SLAs, my response times, my guarantee to them on the infrastructure. And that really is our only measure of success. Is it responsive? Is the server doing what it's supposed to do? But like you say, that only tells part of the story. So, one, how do we correlate that to business KPIs in a real intangible way?
Yeah, one of the things that makes AppDynamics special is that you'll hear a term called business transaction, the BT within the application. And this is where we kind of leverage that to make sure that we could correlate that across all the stacks. So as a end user clicks on an application, we follow that business transaction as it traverses across everything,
Yeah.
which allows you, I like to call AppDynamics the GPS to root cause analysis.
It's a
But
great way to put
now,
it.
but now to answer your question, right? In addition to that, we also have a data model behind this business transaction that is broader and bigger than infrastructure and code. It
Uh,
follows what the end user is actually doing. So you can see in real time the amount of users that are traversing your application and where they're at within the application, whether they're logging in, adding something to a cart, ordering product, paying their bill. You could really see all of that in real time so that you don't have to wait and go to some data lake. It'll all be spun up right in front of you so that you could communicate to your business. You know what impact is. You can prioritize how quickly you need to go resolve that. And it
yeah.
also lets your customers know you're not surprised. You know what's going on, and you're going to sound like you're aware of the situation.
Right. Hey, somebody's asking the question, what is this? Let's reset. I mean, right here we are. This is Rackspace Cloud Talk Live talking to AppDynamics about how AppDynamics has the capability to do full stack observability and why that's better than traditional monitoring. I mean, that's really what we're down to. And if we're going to cut to the chase also, we're going to give you a link where we can help actually implement this, even an offer to do your first application for free. It's really kind of cool. But, Keith, as interesting as you and I are, I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. And here to help show some pictures is Andrew Liu. So let's bring Andrew up. Andrew works for AppDynamics, sales engineer. Been doing that, I think, if I remember correctly, about 6 years or so at AppDynamics. Andrew?
Correct. Yep.
Fantastic. And Andrew is, you spend all day, every day opening people's eyes to the fact that full stack observability is better than more monitoring.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to, from the very beginning, see the journey that we're on, how we've, as Keith was talking about, transitioned from just APM as being a niche to being this best practice.
Yeah.
To how can we expand upon that?
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's jump into it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about bring up your share and tell us what we're about to see here.
Sure.
And while we do that, Daniel, if you wouldn't mind, Daniel's our producer backstage. You don't get to see him, but he's there. Let's go ahead and drop that link if anybody's interested in learning more or engaging with AppDynamics on this. So if you'll drop that out there in the comments, Daniel, that would be great. And then Andrew, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So what you're seeing here, and I'll move the screen around a couple of times, but what you're seeing is one of our demo applications. And this is just a sample of what the art of the possible. What can we show you from, whether you want to be high level at the executive side, whether it's just green, yellow, red, to what's the state of the business, down to what are all the individual servers doing. So this particular dashboard, what we're showing is for this financial application, we'll have users trying to, let's say, manage a portfolio. So what we want to do is we want to help you understand what are they going through? What is the journey that they go through with the different type of transactions? So they could be clicking on account home or researching a stock all the way to processing a trade. So how can we show you what their experience is? So that's what we're seeing on the left. We're seeing what are those key transactions, and around each of those, what is the health of each of those transactions? If, let's say, something's turning yellow, right, we want to hunt that yellow. We want to help solve those issues before your customers are impacted. We could say double click into this and say, all right, get quote. Let's see what's going on there. Now on the right, what we can also see is just pure metrics. What does it look like? Number of people trying to research your stock, getting a quote, processing a trade. If there's an issue anywhere, right, we might just see a massive drop off. So what's going on from a pure metric standpoint? And then at the bottom, I'll scroll a little bit. So let me just go in a little bit here. So on the left, there's a couple of different use cases we can see here. We could do something like if you're in a hybrid environment, whether you still have your traditional data center, where you're still taking a look at what are all those different things that your users are going through, and then how is it working with the cloud? Or what if you're doing a cloud migration, right? You're slowly trying to figure out your different move groups, trying to understand what are the different transactions that are key to the business that you need to migrate first. Right, so what is the overall health of your business, whether you're in your cloud or you're in on-premise still? So that is the focus of this particular dashboard. So let's dive in a little bit deeper.
Okay, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, what we're seeing here is another demo application, another sample application. Right now we've moved to more of an e-commerce focus. So what we're seeing here is this is our bread and butter. We're taking your Excel spreadsheets of all your different IP addresses, what is it talking to, what application is it, and we're putting it into this dynamic visual, what we like to call our flow map. So this is the application behind the scenes. And whichever flavor, of language technology you're using, right, what we have here is a Java-based application. We're saying, okay, these are all the different JVMs. These are the common services. We like to call this our tier, right? These are all the different JVMs. What are they talking to? Are they talking to different queues, different databases, another application, even some third-party systems, right? What is the traversal of traffic? What is the experience? How long is it taking? Where is it going, right? And if anything changes in a dynamic environment, in an agile environment, things are always changing, right?
Yeah. Hey, Andrew, let me pause you for just 1 second, because when I look at this course, I see a ton of stuff, and somebody's also asking a similar question, and that is, first thing I want to ask is, how hard is it from, hey, I'm interested in AppDynamics, to get to the point that I can see information like this?
It is super easy. What we need to do is identify an application. We need to get our agent in there. This is an agent-based solution.
Okay.
And for, let's say, Java, for Java's sake, just say, hey, when we start up your Java application, point to AppDynamics, and that's it. Get some load going through, and it'll build out this dynamic flow map for you automatically.
Yeah,
Got
if
it.
I could
And-
add, can I add to that, Jeff?
Go ahead.
Right, I love letting folks know, for those on the call, you could just call this a real-time Visio diagram. It builds itself, and it changes as things change, and it all does it through that business transaction I was telling everybody about earlier. And I don't want to lose sight of how he got to this view. That dashboard that he showed you all, that's normally static for a lot of folks. Understand it's an interactive dashboard that you click on and launches this view in real time for anyone and everyone to see.
Moment. So if you have an application, all of a sudden you add a new component to it, there it is. As long as we're pulling, the agents have access to those logs and that data, we're in.
Exactly.
Now, there was a question that somebody asked, and they were asking about the amount of overhead on the servers, of course. That's always an important question.
Yep, very important. And we typically like to say it's very minimal. we see oftentimes, depending on your use case, we could see things like less than 2% in terms of CPU overhead.
2%. Excellent. Okay, progress. Sorry for the interruption, but I thought we needed some extra detail there.
No worries. So this is the application at a high level. So let's go down a layer deeper. Right. Let's focus in on what Keith was talking about earlier with the notion of a business transaction. So with a business transaction, this is our core unit of measurement. And what this essentially is how users are interacting with an application. Right. I alluded to it earlier. So in this particular case, an e-commerce application, someone's going to be logging in, adding an item to a cart, checking out, right? So we want to understand what are users doing and what is their experience like, right? So we can see there's quite a few things going on right here. We have a high-level aggregate view as to how all of your transactions that we automatically picked up are performing. So what we might want to do is say, hey, checkout is pretty important to the state of the business, right, for an e-commerce application. So there's some things going on here. So let's double click into this. So there's quite a few things going on here. Now this is another flow map, but now these are all the different parts and components that are being utilized within just this one particular checkout flow.
Okay.
You'll see things like load, response time, and error, but the key thing is right here, this transaction scorecard. So what we do at AppDynamics automatically is we'll count, measure, and score every single transaction coming in automatically. And then we'll baseline that, right? We'll take into account seasonality, time of day, day of week, week of month, month of year, for example, right? So you can understand how is this normally performing. And anytime a transaction comes in, let's say another checkout transaction comes in, and it deviates from that normal performance at baseline, we'll categorize it as slow, very slow, stall, or error. And the point is that we want to understand, why are things trending away from normal? What is your user's experience right now? Why is it not green, right? So what we'll do is we'll take what we like to call a snapshot, right? Snapshots will be a point in time what one user is going through as they're going through this particular transaction. So there's a number of different snapshots I can pick from. So I've already got one queued up. So now this is another flow map now. But now this is extremely granular. This is one user going through that checkout transaction, having a very slow experience. So you don't have to be an expert in the application to see, all right, these are all the things that are talking to each other. You got some orange here, you got some red over here. But on the left, this potential issues, this is AppDynamics saying, hey, by the way, you might want to take a look at some of this.
So this is super important, because when you think about, traditionally, this only gets surfaced when a user finally gets frustrated enough and says, hey, I'm trying to check out here and it won't work. I want to buy my widget. As opposed to you having the company having visibility into what's actually happening.
So many times, very recently, have I run into that exact issue. I'm trying to check out, something went wrong, I went somewhere else to get it.
Yep.
So this is our way of helping you figure out, getting ahead of the issue before your customers have that issue with that checkout button, getting that fixed much faster.
Yeah, and it's worthwhile saying, Jeff, here, right? We were talking about full stack observability later. Imagine that view on the left-hand side is automatically correlated for you across all those stacks, leveraging that business transaction. And the AI ML engine of AppDynamics here is telling you what we think root cause is. And when you're looking for that needle in the haystack, we're helping you get there a lot quicker, which is why I call it the GPS, the root cause analysis.
That's pretty amazing stuff. It's pretty amazing stuff. And now this is where the customizability comes in, is depending on what's happening in here, there could be a different business unit or development team that's over that. So now I'm assuming you could get in and actually have these dashboards delivered, these views delivered specific to the right business units as well, and have the right teams escalated to.
Absolutely. We'll cater to whichever persona we're working with, different views, different applications. We'll work with you to figure out what is key to your business, whichever group you're part of. So we can help you figure out what are those key visibilities that you need to be able to run your business.
And if I can, Jeff, right, you're looking at this screen right here, right? Yeah. Everybody on this call, if they've ever been part of a war room call or a P1 crit sit incident, right? They all know they have to join these calls and they don't know why they're getting brought in. So what most customers do is, without AppDynamics, you are saying all hands on deck, and you got to rule yourself out from a mean time to innocence perspective. How cool would it be that you could look at this and say, wow, if I don't see a database here, I'm not bothering the database team. If I don't see a Windows box, I'm not going to bother the Windows team, the VM team, the network team. Everybody now, you're much more surgical and precise with who you need to interact with to resolve the incident.
Yeah. All right. So 5 minutes left. I do want to respond to what 212 Help Desk said, and he said, "Damn near priceless." Absolutely. I think you should take that and use that in your marketing somewhere with his permission. And yeah, in terms of, you can read the quote right there on your screen. But then there is a question. I can't see who actually wrote it. It just says LinkedIn user. But how does it compare to Datadog? Let's talk competitors here for a sec.
Sure. So do you want me to take that, Keith?
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the key things is right here. So let me just drill down just a second more. And what this is our ability to get extremely granular into the code level, right? So we can see what's going on in the code, how long it's taking, where is it going, what's it talking to. Now, Datadog, they're very focused, they're hyper focused in the cloud right now, and that's something that we have very recently, as of I believe it was last week, we GA'd. So AppD Cloud is there, but what we have right now, what you're seeing is kind of the core, our bread and butter. How can we get you granular view into the application stack, regardless of whichever technology you're using, so you can see at the code level what the problems are.
Excellent.
And Jeff, if I could add to that, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
please.
at the end of the day, all right, I'm sure there's a network guy on this call right now, and they get blamed for everything. And how cool again would it be to be able to say, hey, I could actually see what's going on with that application, but not point fingers, but collaboratively say, here's what we're seeing within your code. Help us understand why it is or is not you. And now you have an objective conversation with your development teams right there with the infrastructure team.
Well, this sure shines a light on how you're able to make claims like, hey, 65% to resolution, 65% faster to mean time to resolution in understanding root cause analysis. I love the fact that it's not just faster, it's just the right people working on the problem, because you know where the problem resides. Like you said, if it's not Windows related, VM related, infrastructure, network, database, pick whatever the thing is or isn't, let's just get the right people in the room to solve the problem that exists. And the other piece that it really shows off is not just it's easy for us as old infrastructure people. Yes, we're old, and we were infrastructure people. Is we talk about this in the context of the thing broke and somebody can't do something. That's a nice binary to get to deal with, and what we usually get to deal with. The variable, the gray space, is it's just slow, and we never knew it. We never knew it. Or there may be one application stack and they could see something, but they didn't have the ability to look across data, networking, all the different things, and have that solution. That's one thing that's got me so excited about full stack observability, is solving for that gray area.
Yeah, no, Jeff, that's a great statement there, because I love telling our customers that slow is the new down. And when I say slow is the new down, 4-second response time makes a possible customer go to a competitor. Just 4 seconds.
That's what Andrew said. If he can't check out fast enough, he goes and he buys his cassette tapes for his mixtape somewhere else. I don't know why I just made you a child of the 80s all of a sudden, but I did.
And then in addition to that, you also get to see how many people are slow, so you could prioritize that. And that's the business context we provide with this same solution. You don't need something else. You leverage that in addition to saying there's 1,100 people with sub 5-second response time. Yeah. You could see it at any given point in time. You get to communicate a lot better with your senior leadership and your business partners with what's going on.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this. We should have scheduled about an hour and a half to really get into all of it. Andrew's like, I got so much more to show you. But we would actually rather be able to help you solve these problems, folks. So Daniel's going to once again put that link up in the LinkedIn and YouTube chat as well. You can see it on your screen right here. If you would like to solve a problem inside of your organization for free, go sign up. We will actually put a solution in place for you for free, a single solution in place for you. Or if you just have questions, you want to dig a little bit deeper. I always say we're not selling anything here. We're actually trying to sell you a better night's sleep, I think, is really what it comes down to, or the ability to sleep through the night if you're in charge of looking after some of this stuff. So, Keith, Andrew, any kind of parting shots? Keith, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it. It's almost sounds like it's too good to be true at times. I
Yeah.
ask everybody dive in, get your feet wet, and let folks like Andrew show you how this solution really gives you part. I like to say you can't put a price tag on work life family balance.
That's
And
right.
I see folks who leverage this, they get a lot more family back
Mm,
versus putting out fires and being able to work on the cool things that they like to work on. So
cool.
any way we could help, I'm happy that you invited me to participate here. So
Excellent. Andrew, anything that you didn't get a chance to talk about in the stack?
Well, the key thing is just think about what are those applications that keeps you up at night, and then think of what this level of visibility can help you, how that can help you, and whether you're at a high level business perspective all the way down to managing the infrastructure, right? Whichever case persona, however you handle the business, let us help you. Come to us. We can figure out what are those key applications, what are those key business KPIs, and let's get to fixing problems for you.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, thank you for being a part of the program today. Of course, this is all part of our Cloud Talk Live program that we have here at Rackspace. And I got a button to click. I just have to find where that button went. And for taking time out of your day to be a part of this, folks. This is part of the partnership here. We will talk about cloud transformation all day long around Rackspace, data transformation. But when you think about full stack observability, it really is what brings it all together because it strips away the tech and helps you get focused on literally just about what the business problems and opportunities are that you're working on solving. You can find all of this type of information over at rackspace.com/solve. And I'm trying to bring that up on the screen now. Bingo. Daniel, if you would go full screen on me, that would be great. That way we can see it all. And so if you'll head over to rackspace.com/solve, you'll be able to check all that out. In the meantime, we are back here on Tuesday. Guys, it's about data catalogs on Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. Keith, Andrew, thanks so much for being a part of the program. And everyone, we will see you on Tuesday.